of the Republic of China. I now call upon His Excellency Dr. Anafi, the Speaker of the Egyptian House of Representatives, to make opening statements.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Thank you. معالي السيدة نوسيفوي مابيسا كاكولا رئيسة الجمعية الوطنية بجمهورية جنوب أفريقيا، معالي السيد أموس ماسوندو رئيس المجلس الوطني للمقاطعات بجمهورية جنوب أفريقيا، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، رؤساء البرلمانات ورؤساء الوفود البرلمانية، السيدات والسادة الحضور، اسمحوا لي بداية أن أتوجه بالشكر والتقدير إلى مضيفنا اليوم برلمان جنوب أفريقيا على الدعوة الكريمة للمشاركة في هذا المحفل البرلماني المهم لتجمع دول البريكس. كما أتقدم بجزيل الشكر على حسن التنظيم والاستقبال.
And really we appreciate that good organizing and the generosity which we have done since
أرض جنوب أفريقيا الشقيقة. لقد جاءت دعوة مصر.
And there's an invitation of Egypt to be a member of the BRICS is to be the completion of the participant of the organization for BRICS Plus on the year of 2017, which Egypt was participating in it in all the activities on the level of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the head of the state, the president of the state, and Dr. Mustafa Medbouri is the Prime Minister of Egypt, and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sami Shukri, and the invitation came to join that gathering so that it can be a witness and certificate of the trust, certificate of the ability of the finance and the economy of Egypt, which is facing a challenge nowadays. Which also need from us so that we can push the cooperation southern forward so that we can find a practical solution of all the realistic solution of these challenges. And finally, we're looking forward to work of the BRICS, all the BRICS, so that we can organize the cooperation through the next term, so that we serve all the objectives of the BRICS, and so that we can benefit of our citizens and countries. And we wish for our meetings success and our countries for more development development, more progress, more prosperity. We thank you so much so that you're following me and listening attentively.
Thank you very much.
شكرا
That was
جزيلا.
an opening statement from
هذا هو كان افتتاح من الرئيس
representatives.
مجلس.
We'll now move on to His Excellency Mohammed Baga Kharibaf. Excuse my pronunciation. Who is the president of the Majlis Shorai Islamini of Islamic Republic of Iran. Mr. Mohammed, sir.
بسم الله الرحمن
In the name
الرحيم
of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful.
سرکار خانم
Her
ماپیسان
Excellency, Madam
کاکولا
Mapisa and
رئیس
Kakula,
محترم مجمع ملی
Speaker of the
جمهوری
National Assembly of the
آفریقای
Republic
جنوبی
of South Africa,
و جناب آقای
His
آموس
Excellency Mr.
مسونگو
Amos
رئیس
Songo,
محترم
the
شورای
Honorable
ملی
Chairperson of the
استانهای
National
آفریقای
Council of
جنوبی
Provinces of South Africa,
و همکاران محترم
dear colleagues.
بسیار خرسندم که امروز
I am
در
very
نهمین
pleased to
مجمع
be attending
پارلمانی
today in
بریکس
the 9th
در شهر
BRICS
زیبای
Parliamentary Forum
جوهانسبورگ
in the
حضور
beautiful
دارم.
city of Johannesburg.
از پارلمان
I would
آفریقای
like to
جنوبی
thank
برای
the Parliament
میزبانی
of South
و
Africa for
اقدامات
hosting
شایسته
and
در
the
برگزاری
pertinent
این
efforts
رویداد
in
مهم
organizing this event
سپاسگزاری
of
می‌نمایم. همچنین
Also,
از
I
تلاش و
appreciate
پیگیری‌های
the endeavors and
دولت
pursuance of
آفریقای
the government
جنوبی
of South
برای
Africa
عضویت
for the
جمهوری
membership of the
اسلامی
Islamic
ایران
Republic of
در
Iran
گروه
in
بریکس
BRICS.
قدردانی می‌کنم. امیدوارم نتایج این نشست گامی مؤثر در جهت تقویت هرچه بیشتر همفکری و همکاری میان پارلمان‌های عضو مجمع باشد. بدون شک برگزاری این مجمع با موضوع بهره‌گیری از چندجانبه‌گرایی دیپلماسی پارلمانی برای تعمیر مشارکت آفریقا و تسریع در اجرای توافقنامه تجارت آزاد و حضور پارلمان‌های کشورهای عضو فرصت مغتنمی برای رایزنی، تبادل نظر و حرکتی پویا در راستای تبیین نقش دیپلماسی پارلمانی و تقویت چندجانبه‌گرایی. جناب رئیس،
Madam
رؤسای
President,
محترم
honorable
مجالس،
speakers of parliament,
خانم‌ها و
ladies
آقایان،
and gentlemen,
همه ما می‌دانیم که نظم بین‌المللی کنونی آنطور که جهان به آن نیاز دارد کار نمی‌کند. مشکلات متعددی در جهان وجود دارد که سیستم بین‌المللی موجود یا قادر به حل آن نیست یا تمایلی برای حل آن از خود نشان نمی‌دهد. فهرست مشکلات طولانی و هراس آور است. جهان به سمت یک رکود اقتصادی حرکت می‌کند، اما هنوز با رفاه مردم جهان هنوز بحران مواد غذایی در سراسر جهان تشدید شده است. فناوری گرچه به سرعت رشد می‌کند اما هنوز با رفاه مردم جهان پیوند نخورده و برای تهدیدات اقتصادی و اخلاقی ناشی از رشد آن تدبیر اندیشیده نشده است. بی‌ثباتی سیاسی در اکثر کشورها تشدید شده و گرایش به افراطی‌گری در حال تقویت است. مناقشات مرزی با بحران‌هایی مانند بحران آب تلفیق شده و تروریسم امنیت بخش‌های مختلفی از جهان را به خطر انداخته است. جنگ‌ها آغاز می‌شود بدون اینکه دورنمایی برای پایان آنها وجود داشته باشد. آن هم در حالی که برخی قدرت‌های غربی تلاش می‌کنند سازمان ملل را به سازمان چند دولت خاص تبدیل کرده و با شعار حقوق بشر جنایت علیه بشریت را توجیه کنند. نتیجه این وضعیت انباشت بی‌سابقه مشکلات جهانی و تشدید بحران‌های بین‌المللی است. همه جهان انتظار دارد نظم جهانی در خدمت رفاه ملت‌ها، کاهش مشکلات مشترک بین‌المللی، حمایت از محیط زیست، حل بحران
resolve the water crisis, supply adequate food for all the people throughout the world, boost public purchasing power, use technology ethically and optimally, fight terrorism, and cement moral principles. I am afraid to say that, as we speak, this situation is a far cry from just that. International order need undergo a deep rethinking. As such, today, BRICS is considered the most important symbol of strive for a more just and fairer order the world over. The increasing interest of countries in joining BRICS is a very important indication that they wish to expedite the birth of a new world premised upon tenets of deep multilateralism and attention to social aspects. Distinguished colleagues, we do need to effect change in certain spheres in order to attain our goals. The most important area is economy. The present infrastructure of world economy is, by and large, in the hands of certain Western powers. Some Western states, led by the United States, have been expressed in saying that they wish to weaponize the infrastructure of world economy against their rivals. Increasing recourse to sanctions as a weapon against other countries has put a dent in the confidence of world countries in the world's financial infrastructure. Linking to the global banking network is an international right. Yet, we see that the United States and certain other powers have taken it hostage, thereby stripping other countries of the ability to procure the medicine and foodstuffs that they need. The same has come upon the country's dollarized national reserves. States save their reserves in dollars so as to be able to readily expend them at larger scales. Yet, the present story is contrary. In effect, the United States government abuses the dependency of other countries on the US dollar and freezes their assets and restricts their transactions. The situation is none too better in the political and geopolitical fronts. Efforts to wreak instability in sovereignty, tragic state of international politics. In the Islamic Republic of Iran, we have said expressly and since the outset that we call for the immediate cessation of war in Ukraine. Further adding quite openly, notwithstanding, that NATO and US expansion were the most important causes of the outbreak of this war. Presently, the United States is in leading position of the countries that, in effect, oppose the cessation of war in Ukraine and veto all ceasefire and peace formulae. At the same time, we see that in countries like Iran, where the United States fails to wage conventional war, the United States resorts to hybrid warfare formulae through causing internal stability and exerting economic pressure and couples these with cyber attacks, intelligence operations, psychological and media warfare served by technologies like artificial intelligence. This dangerous trend is well extending to other countries. In response to these circumstances, hopes are pinned on organizations the likes of BRICS, so as to proffer new alternatives to the world. Mr. President, today's world needs justice-seeking and spiritualism, and BRICS can play an important role in this respect. Before anything, BRICS ought to concert efforts on building an independent international financial structure with the aim to demonopolize international banking and interbank financial telecommunications, and further facilitate the participation of other countries therein. In addition, efforts for de-dollarization of world trade renders great service to the prosperity of the developing countries. BRICS members need joint investment on corridors which serve as thoroughfares for the exchange of goods, services, and energy, and whose administration is not in the monopole hands of big Western powers. We also need a new geopolitical will to propose peaceful solutions to international crises and wars, and to resolve border conflicts through dialogue. The historical experience of the past few centuries shows that progress and economic growth and resolution of international problems without regard to ethics, culture, spirituality, and religious and divine teachings shall not be sustainable. Bitter incidents such as the burning of the Quran are omen that we need to renew the global attention to lofty religious and human teachings. Averting the reignition of religious conflicts and a more serious attention to social harms are amongst other objectives for which I trust BRICS members can pioneer a new international movement. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to underscore another pointer before I conclude. Further to economic matters, BRICS should have a clear political plan. I think BRICS ought to include on its agenda the prospect of establishing a new G20. The member parliaments can create the necessary legal infrastructure for this great development. In order to facilitate this, I suggest that BRICS intra-parliamentary groups be formed so that they can continually discuss and consult with one another on these important issues. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, honorable representatives, we will now have to move on to the next speaker. But before we do so, let me just urge
رئيسة الجمعية الوطنية بجمهورية جنوب أفريقيا، معالي عاموس ماسندو، رئيس المجلس الوطني للأقاليم بجمهورية جنوب أفريقيا، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الحضور الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أود في البداية أن أتقدم بالشكر والتقدير لجمهورية جنوب أفريقيا الصديقة لما لقيناه من حسن استقبال وكرم ضيافة، وللجمعية الوطنية والمجلس الوطني للأقاليم
and the parliament, and that is a great invitation for us to participate, so that we can see that which can show the playing roles of assisting our international effort, which is lead to develop of the aspects on the practice of the social development and financial development till we reach the development and prosperity of the nation. And from this platform, I'd like to thank and appreciation on behalf of the Emirate and all those the founder members, the 5 members, they agreed that accept the membership of the full membership of the groups for the Emirate. And in this aspect, so indeed, I don't find any expression more than what is His Highness the Sheikh Muhammad Zayed, may Allah protect him. So when he said that Emirat, they value the agreement of the BRICS to obtain a membership of these BRICS groups, and we looking forward to work together so that for the prosperity and the benefit of the whole nation of the world, our brothers and sisters, we realize and we know the whole world did witness since the 2 decades and is in a speed development and a changing technology aspects and all these aspects, and from the competition of economy, which is also find our globalization put us through, so that we found that is a tough competition in political issue and trade and also military. And in the same time that we give a new aspects of the new international system. And so that it is according there's a reading of the strategic changing and challenging of the national and global one, and indeed we are on Emirates that we are targeting as our diplomatic participant, that we have to go for stability of the international level, and we cool down any reflection or conflict on the Middle East, and we have so many examples we done it, which we have some understanding of the effort of the Ittifaq Ibrahimi, so that we can solve the problem of the conflict through 70 years. And also the adopting the document of the the humanity of which is signed on Abu Dhabi 2019, so that we can see of the peace and prosperity amongst all the religions and faith. And it's not so far that we hosting also that we have the United Nations agreements for the global change and for the weather change, which is we have to unite our opinion and our decision and the effort, so that we can move from the international and into the world, so that the clean energy and which is from the theoretic to the practical. And we assure that to face the challenge of the weather changing and to protect the global and the earth, and it is full responsibility, mutual responsibility, which is upon all the North and South countries. And also that when we join the BRICS, as it is our priority, so that we can build a strategic relationship and economic so that we can achieve the prosperity through the international system, and we have to share the responsibility and duties and benefit and mutual benefit. their excellencies, and that our conference today discussing a very serious issue, which is the multi-parliamentary effort, with such partnership between the BRICS and Africa, especially. And we have to speed that a free trade, African free trade, so that it will help implement that agreement, so that we can see a one market, so that we can see that all the free trade, so which can be population of 1,300,000,000 people, so that, and also which is can be 3 trillion that outcome of dollar trade off, so that we have a full responsibility, so that we can reduce that obstacle for the trades and investment between the BRICS and African continent. And we push with a variety of cooperation, which is for more wider and wider. And we are in the United Arab Emirates. We confirm and we assess the cooperation with the African countries, so that we can increase the development and progressing of the social and financial, which is a proof that which was our country announced in Nairobi's conference, which is an initiative of by supporting that Emirate with those $4.5 million, so that we can assess and push and mobilizing that clean energy, which is also our assembly, so that we can cooperate with all the parliament of the continent of Africa, so that we build some platform for the partnership on the parliament, so that we can ease any obstacle or difficulties through any agreement with the partnership or economy, or with all the countries of Africa. We are in Emirates that we believe that the groups of BRICS, with all the resource of it, and which is all the 6 countries included, at around 1/3 of the economy of the world, which is also have a human energy and power, and also with the development of development technology, which will play a major roles to draw the map of the economy of the future world economy. And it will have impact and effects, and which are directing the direction of the world towards all the matter of the countries, which is we face it, especially that global changing and the weather changing, and also development on energy and investment in the new technology, and open all the lanes of import and exports. We wish for all your excellency that we wish for you the success, so that we can we have to achieve a fair result of all that which we expected from our government. And we expect so many representatives of the National Assembly. Then also we are looking forward to see you in Emirates for the next conference on 28. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is going to be His Excellency, Mr. Sosthenes Cavalcante, the Vice President of the Chamber of Deputies from the Federative Republic of Brazil. Please come over.
Senhoras e senhores, representantes do Conselho, da Federação.
Ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the Federation, Council, and the State, Duma of the Federal Assemblies of the Russian Federation, the Parliament of the Republic of India, the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China, and the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, guests and other presents, we are delighted to be taking part in this 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum. I would like to take the opportunity to compliment our presidents in this forum, representing the Republic of South Africa, for the success in the re-education with considering previous BRICS happening in Kempton this year. I would like to present the big relevance of the chosen theme for the parliamentaries to embrace the multilateralism between the between Africa and for the accelerated implementation of the African Free Trade Agreement. Ladies and gentlemen, since the first BRICS Parliamentary Forum held in Moscow, Russia, in June 2015, much progress has been made in strengthening ties between our parliamentarians, thanks mainly to the meeting held every year. This constant and collaborative dialogue is strategic because through we can identify business opportunities, encourage investment, and stimulate the exchange of technology and scientific cooperation. The Brazilian legislature is aware of the importance of inter-parliamentary integration between the BRICS members countries and has endeavored to promote it. In the national progress, we have a parliamentary front exclusively dedicated to stimulating this dialogue, maintaining good relations and a good business environment with the member countries of the bloc. This front is designed to promote the improvement of federal legislation in coordination with sectors of society. It is strongly committed to stimulating exchanges with the parliaments of the bloc and to promoting the processing of matters that deal with issues of interest to the BRICS. This approachment, ladies and gentlemen, is strategic because the BRICS members countries have great weight on the global stage, both historically and economically and socially, and reciprocal support enhances our strength. Together, we represent a population of 3.2 billion inhabitants, with a gross domestic product corresponding to 32% of global GDP. It is only natural that we unite in the search for a better balance of force in the world's political and economic dynamics. A new international order favors not only the BRIC members countries, but the entire planet, contributing to the achievement of the UN's sustainable development. And for the same reasons, Brazil believes that the UN should be more democratic and more participative, including in its composition the representation of countries in development. This is a legitimate aspiration among the countries in development. Counting from January next year, with Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, and Iran joining the bloc, the BRICS will take on even greater importance. I would therefore like to welcome the new members of the group as well as their respective parliaments. We are sure that the friendly relations between the countries of the bloc will continue to be the most valuable asset of the BRICS, as they are based on mutual respect and the right of each sovereign state to choose its own path of development. The tradition of the 6 new members will increase our share of global GDP to 36.91%, according to the International Monetary Fund's estimates for this year, and will now comprise 46% of the planet's population. This means that if today, with a GDP equivalent to 32% of global GDP, we are already more economically powerful than the G7, we will become even stronger. With the new configuration, the BRICS will hold 72% of the rare earth minerals, 75% of the world's manganese, 50% of global graphite, 28% of the world's nickel, and 42% of the oil supply. The abundance of natural resources in our countries is of enormous value to the members of the BRICS, as it can mean a guarantee of supply to the countries of the bloc itself. These including oil derivatives, fertilizers, chemicals, and pharmaceuticals. We will therefore be even stronger in tackling challenges such as social and regional inequalities, unemployment, and access to new technologies. Brazil believes in the importance of drawing up joint actions, respecting the guidelines and relations with local executives to combat these and other problems that hinder the economic and social development of our nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Brazil considers it very positive that among the resolutions agreed at the 15th BRICS Summit was the aim of unlocking opportunities for the African continent through the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. When fully implemented, this trade zone will be the largest free trade area in terms of number of member states since the creation of the World Trade Organization. It will also be the largest in terms of population and geographical size, covering more than 1 billion people. Among its objectives, I would highlight the creation of a single liberalized market that deepens African economic integration and develops regional infrastructure, as well as allowing the free transit of people and capital, ultimately establishing a continental customs union. We have no doubt that this initiative will significantly reduce poverty of the continent and make Africa more competitive in the global economy. The blood ties that bind Brazil to Africa, with which we have a great ethnic and cultural identity, are strong. We own much of our rich culture to this continent, and we follow with the brotherly interest all initiatives aimed at promoting African economic and social development. Ladies and gentlemen, recently a health emergency unprecedented in modern history left millions dead and serious consequences for the economy of the entire planet. Our country would face familiar challenges such as unequal access to health services, and their high costs were severely penalized. The Brazilian Parliament acted very quickly to minimize the economic and social effects caused by the earth emergency, adopting a series of measures to protect the most vulnerable sections of the population. Even so, the consequences of the economic paralysis are still being felt in the country today. Now we have to face the challenge of strengthening health and the post-pandemic economy. We know that this challenge is not ours alone, and we must overcome it together, supporting and strengthening each other. Brazil, therefore, considers the proposals that have been made within the BRICS to this end to be more positive. Among them, I would highlight the creation of a common BRICS platform to monitor universal health coverage and access to medicines and vaccines. Another interesting proposal, which we have all agreed on, is the promotion of digital technologies in all health systems and the establishment of a framework for cross-border collaboration. I would also like to emphasize our commitment to continuing cooperation in traditional medicine. We have a very rich tradition in this field, and the exchange of traditional knowledge has greatly contributed to making medical practice in our countries more effective. We believe it is important for this exchange to continue and intensify. Mr. President of the 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the parliaments present here, delegates and other guests, Brazil has all the conditions to occupy an increasingly prominent position in the international stage. We have enormous economic and cultural potential, and we can make a conscious and responsible contribution to overcome the problems that afflict humanity. Our agricultural production has been growing consistently for years with significant productivity gains, thanks to the vast land that is good for cultivation, abundant water and sunshine. We have become the largest soy producer in the world and the largest exporter of corn. We are the second largest beef producer. We have therefore contributed to bringing food to the tables of families in Brazil and around the world. We have a powerful consumer market with great potential to grow as our population's purchasing power increases. This makes us an excellent trading partners for anyone who wants to strengthen their economic ties with us. Our ecological reserves, one of the largest on the planet, bring us great responsibility, but also a field of great potential for cooperating and overcoming differences in the management and protection of natural resources. In international relations, Brazil has always been recognized for its inclination towards cooperation and its contribution to overcoming conflicts. Historically, we have defended peace and harmony between peoples. It is in this context that we consider it extremely opportune to expand the number of BRICS participants and to strengthen the institution as a reference point for choosing the path that humanity should follow in the face of the enormous challenges that lie ahead. Climate changes, health issues, and the accelerating change in technological paradigms are all issues that require international cooperation to be tackled successfully. And Brazil is fully aware of its responsibility to succeed in overcoming these challenges. Once again, I would like to welcome the new BRICS participants and thank the President of the Forum of his hospitality and the opportunity to take part of this fruitful dialogue with the representatives of our country's parliaments. Thank God bless us all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to a speaker who's going to be virtual from the Russian Federation.
نحن الآن نتحول الكلمة من روسيا الاتحادية.
We'll move to the next speaker, Mr. Constantine. His Excellency Mr. Chair, Deputy Chairperson of the Federation of Council of the Federal Assembly of the Russian Federation. Honorable Constantine. Please start from the beginning.
Dear participants in this forum, friends, colleagues. First of all,
Please proceed.
I would like to convey the warmest greetings on behalf of Speaker of the Federation Council, Valentina Matvienko, who will address this forum tomorrow in a video message. Unfortunately, the Russian delegation was unable to attend this forum in person because this week we launched a series of plenary sessions, and we are about to approve the national federal budget. But at the first meeting we held to this effect on September 25th, we adopted a unanimous statement to support the BRICS parliamentary dimension, and we sent this statement to the South African chairmanship and to all other participants. We thank our colleagues from South Africa for organizing this parliamentary forum. Once again, it demonstrates our parliamentary unity, our mutual support, and our commitment to free multilateral dialogue. These principles underpin human interactions and are key to peaceful coexistence. They enable us to achieve positive results together and to open new horizons. We are witnessing the emergence of the multipolar world order on our watch, and this process is gaining momentum and has become irreversible. And it is mostly driven by sovereign, free, and independent states across the world, as well as independent centers of development like BRICS. Parliamentarians play a special role in achieving these goals. Only recently, the 15th BRICS Summit took place. It became an important stage for promoting multilateral inclusive cooperation mechanisms. They play an essential role in the emerging multipolar world order. This plenary session of the summit and the meetings on its sidelines brought together many leaders from across the developing world and demonstrated that the global south is playing an increasingly important role in international affairs and in the key global governance institutions. Today, it is obvious that BRICS countries, with its wide geography, serves as a counterweight and as a harmonizing agent for the global system that has been suffering from the Western aspirations who hegemony for so long. And the second Johannesburg Declaration stipulated that BRICS invites new countries to join this association. Most of them are already with us. They will become full participants effective January 1st, 2024. I would like to welcome them in the BRICS family. I would like to recognize the South Africa as the presiding BRICS country for all the preparations for making this happen. This will reinforce the prestige and the reputation of the BRICS in international affairs. This will make a contribution to coordinating better our positions in multilateral platforms, including in the United Nations. Considering the BRICS parliamentary dimension, I believe that we will have more opportunities to play a bigger role in our interparliamentary dialogue, including within the Inter-parliamentary Union. We have many political and economic objectives, and we parliamentarians can play an important role in achieving them. This is our role as legislators. I do hope that by formalizing, by giving a formal structure to our interparliamentary cooperation within BRICS, will provide a further impetus to these efforts with the adoption of the Memorandum of Understanding and the adoption of the joint declaration. I would like to say that the Russian delegation supports both documents. The 15th BRICS Summit set us on a path to constructively discussing financial and economic matters. Using national currencies in our trade and financial transactions is important for BRICS country. We welcomed efforts to exchange experience in developing our payment infrastructures, and the use of trans-border payment system. The African continent and African countries have a special role in this discussion. The leaders and foreign ministers invited to this summit reaffirmed their commitment to openness, justice, and equality. This approach will serve as a counterbalance in terms of promoting economic recovery and for building a non-discriminatory international financial system. We want to make developing countries more competitive and to unleash Africa's potential. During this summit, we emphasized that unilateral restrictive measures are unacceptable and sanctions against agricultural products are a matter of special concern. And we must combine our efforts to eradicate hunger and to ensure food security. It is essential that the BRICS leaders welcomed the fact that the drafting of the framework agreement creating the BRICS Youth Council were completed. There is the project to expand the BRICS Network University with the new participating countries. We achieved meaningful results on the women's agenda. The BRICS Women's Development Report for 2023 was submitted to the BRICS leaders. It demonstrated efforts to empower women in healthcare and education, economy and technology, in the decision-making process and government. The Women's Business Alliance also presented its report. In conclusion, I would like to once again thank our friends in South Africa for their efforts as BRICS chairs this year. I can say that next year, Russia will build on these efforts as part of its presidency, and it will be Speaker of the Federation Council, Valentina Matvienko, who will present the priority of the BRICS chairmanship for Russia tomorrow. Colleagues, when receiving the Nobel Prize, the famous son of Africa, Nelson Mandela, said, "The value of our shared reward will and must be measured by the joyful peace which will triumph." These words remain relevant today. I strongly believe that BRICS parliamentary cooperation will contribute to the happiness, well-being, and prosperity of our people, as well as people across all continents of our great, interdependent, and diverse world. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We will now proceed to the next statement from His Excellency, Mr. Harivansh, Deputy Chairperson, Rajya Sabha and Delegation, Parliament of the Republic of India.
Honorable Chairperson, Excellencies, and distinguished delegates. At the very outset, let me congratulate Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of the Parliament, Republic of South Africa, and the people of South Africa for the grand success of the 15th Heads of State Summit held here in August 2023.
मैंने behalf of the co-parliamentarians the compliment of the chairman
for ably chairing the BRICS mechanism. The Johannesburg Second Declaration, adopted by the leaders of BRICS on 23rd August 2023, on the theme BRICS and Africa, Partnership for Mutually Accelerated Growth, Sustainable Development, and Inclusive Multilateralism, certainly mirrors the focus and priority of South Africa to make BRICS a development partner of Africa for the progress and prosperity of the continent and its people. Distinguished delegates, India has always been a staunch supporter of multilateralism. It is because we believe that the world is one family, that is based on our ancient philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Theme of the recent G20 summit held in New Delhi was One Earth, One Family, One Future. Multilateral engagement has always been a core tenet of India's foreign policy. A co-founder of the non-aligned movement, also a founding member of G77. Today, India is actively involved in the global affairs, whether it is G20, BRICS, UN reforms, climate change negotiations, or WTO. In all such forums, India, along with the other like-minded countries, is striving to create a more inclusive and multilateral global governance architecture. As a voice of the global South, India raises the concerns of the developing countries in all multilateral fora. India cherishes the BRICS spirit of equality, openness, inclusiveness, consensus, mutual respect, and understanding. BRICS, representing the interests of developing countries, have repeatedly demanded for greater democratization of global governance system.
जो गवर्नमेंट सिस्टम है
International organizations such as the UN Security Council, WTO, etc. We in the BRICS have demonstrated this by our action. We have invited 6 new members to join the group. It is during the India's presidency of G20 this year that effort have been made to integrate the perspectives of developing countries, including LDCs, LLDCs, and SIDS into the G20 agenda, especially through the Voice of Global South Summit, so as to strengthen the voice of developing countries in global decision-making. Distinguished delegates, Africa has always remained at the top of our priorities. We are glad that most of the countries of Africa also support and believe that we need build a more democratic and inclusive world order. India, during its presidency of G20, has included the African Union as a permanent member of G20. This speaks volumes of our commitment and intention to make a new world order that reflects the present global structure where all sovereign nations are partners, unlike the past, when the world was dictated by the rules framed by only a few. Friends, India has enjoyed a close relationship with Africa. Our long-standing relations between the two continents have been bound by historical, geographical, and economic forces. As maritime neighbors, the Indian Ocean has provided a trade route for centuries to establish commercial linkages and a strong people-to-people contacts. Our shared anti-colonial struggle, socio-economic and demographic challenges further cemented the bonds between the people of India and Africa. Over the past few decades, India-Africa partnership has diversified and deepened, with Africa continuing to play a seminal role in India's foreign policy. With the India-Africa Forum Summit consolidating both bilateral and multilateral cooperation, our relationship stands on a sound footing today, characterized by a sense of solidarity, mutual trust, and confidence. India has actively been engaged in Africa's development, and we are committed to intensify our engagement with the continent and its people. India has always stood by Africa and its people, and will continue to be a major development partner in the future as well. The spirit of developing together as equals defines this bilateral partnership. India believes in development partnership with Africa based on their needs and their priorities for their people as enshrined in AU's Development Framework Agenda 2063. Our partnership has further been deepened with a regular interaction and exchange of high-level visits from two sides. We recall the address of our Honorable Prime Minister, Sri Narendra Modi ji, to the Ugandan Parliament in July 2018 that outlined the Kampala Principles, a set of 10 broad guiding principles of India's engagement with Africa. From development partnership, digital literacy, agriculture, clean and efficient energy, climate change, combating terrorism to ocean security, India aims at expanding its engagement with Africa. Distinguished delegates, as custodians of democratic rights and principles, it falls on all of us as the parliamentarians of BRICS countries to take forward the idea of democratization of the world order and bring multilateralism to the center of international governance system. I congratulate all my fellow parliamentarians present here today for the success of BRICS Parliamentary Forum that has traversed through these years since the first meeting we have had in 2015. Let us continue our endeavors towards supplementing the efforts of the BRICS Summit and foster greater cooperation and understanding among the countries and people of BRICS countries. On behalf of Parliament of India, I congratulate Government and Parliament of South Africa for organizing this conference and excellent hospitality this year and wish its grand success. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for that statement from India. Excellencies, honorable delegates, we now have His Excellency Mr. Peng Kinghua, Vice Chairman of the Standing Committee of the National People's Congress of the People's Republic of China.
Honorable heads of delegations, colleagues, I'm very happy to meet with you in the beautiful city of Johannesburg. Thank the National Assembly of South Africa for your hospitality and thoughtful arrangement. First of all, on behalf of the National People's Congress of China, I'd like to send my greetings to all of you who are present here today and wish this forum a full success in advance. Currently, changes unseen in the world are evolving at an accelerated pace. We have seen more hotspot issues and global challenges. Economic recovery is sluggish. Global development process has met strong headwinds. Under this background, it is more important for emerging markets and developing countries to strengthen cooperation and play a larger role in international affairs. This is the trend of the times and serves the common interests of the international community. BRICS, as an important platform for emerging markets and developing countries' cooperation, have been actively involved in global economic governance and are dedicated to safeguarding multilateralism and promoting international cooperation. BRICS has become an important force shaping the international landscape. At the 15th BRICS Summit that was just concluded, we have seen historic membership expansion for BRICS. We've invited Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE to join the BRICS family. This membership expansion shows the influence and appeal of BRICS. It also shows the determination of BRICS countries to strengthen cooperation and solidarity with developing countries. It has strengthened the force for peace and development. We welcome this decision. Standing on a new starting point, BRICS countries and their legislatures should continue to uphold the BRICS spirit of openness, inclusiveness, and win-win cooperation to actively expand our cooperation in various fields, enhance our cooperation level, and make greater contribution to peace and development of the world. First, we need to jointly promote development cooperation. As we speak, global development cause is faced with severe challenges. The implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development lags behind. The international community needs to put development as a priority, strengthen solidarity, mutual respect, and promote joint development. President Xi Jinping pointed out at the closing ceremony of the BRICS Business Forum 2023, the goal of the GDI is to promote development for all by the international community and boost the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Under the support of all countries, the GDI has been substantiated, and our cooperation projects in various fields are booming. BRICS countries share similar focus points in development, and this is highly consistent with the GDI. We welcome BRICS countries to take an active part in this initiative to jointly respond to challenges, to strengthen and improve people's well-being, and inject new impetus for the implementation of the 2030 Agenda. For some time now, China and African countries have maintained brotherhood. We'd like to work together with African countries to strengthen our cooperation exchanges in various fields. Be committed to the principle of sincerity, amity, good faith, and real results, and build a China-African community with a shared future, and to make positive efforts towards the building of China-Africa community with a shared future for mankind. Second, we need to jointly safeguard peace and security. On the international landscape, changes and turbulences are intertwining, Cold War mentality is relapsing, and risks of bloc confrontation are surging. President Xi Jinping put forward the Global Security Initiative, and at the BRICS Summit this year, he pointed out that only by upholding common, comprehensive, cooperative, and sustainable development security, we can build an indivisible community of health for all. This has pulled a strength for international community and is advocating a new path to security featuring dialogue, partnership over confrontation, and alliance. By doing this, can we bridge the gap of development and fill peace deficit? We welcome your participation in the GSI, and we welcome you to work together with us to build a community of security for all, to send out a BRICS voice for peace and security in the world. Third, we need to promote mutual learning among civilizations. On the path to modernization and in the process of civilizational development, we are faced with various challenges. Suspicion, division, confrontation are always there. It is of utmost importance for us to strengthen communication exchanges among civilizations and promote people-to-people bond. In March this year, President Xi Jinping put forward the Global Civilization Initiative. He stressed that we need to respect the diversity of civilizations and promote mutual learning and exchanges among civilizations to enhance people-to-people bond and pool consensus for international cooperation. He also stressed the importance of carrying forward the common values of humanity to promote development of human civilization. BRICS countries come from different regions. We all have our rich cultural heritage and defining cultural characters. It is of significant importance for us to strengthen our exchanges and cooperation. It will also play an important role for the world and the progress of humanity's civilization. We welcome BRICS countries to work with us to implement the Global Civilization Initiative and open up new prospects for cultural exchanges people-to-people bond, and cultural mutual learning. Fourth, we need to promote a world order that is fairer and more equitable. We need to build a new type of international relations featuring mutual respect, justice, equity, and win-win cooperation. This is our common mission. We need to practice true multilateralism, uphold UN-centered international system, and the international order underpinned by international law. We need to firmly safeguard the core role played by UN in international affairs. We need to be advocate and safeguarder of international rule of law. We should be actively involved in the reform of global governance system, be committed to the principle of shared extensive consultation, shared benefits, and joint contribution to improve the influence and voice of emerging markets and developing countries, to make international order fairer and more equitable. Dear colleagues, cooperation among legislatures is an important part of BRICS mechanism. It plays an important role for our advancing of cooperation on economy and trade, politics and security, and people-to-people exchanges. During this year's forum, we will sign an MOU. We need to take this as an opportunity to strengthen the institutional building of the forum, deepen our cooperation, expand exchanges and among special committees, groups of parliamentarians, and agencies to provide legal underpinning for BRICS cooperation. We need to encourage our parliamentarians and representatives to conduct various friendly exchanges to strengthen mutual understanding and recognition among our people, further cement the public support for BRICS cooperation. The new members will not only bring us with new opportunities, it also put forward new requirements. Our new members come from different regions, different civilizations, and they have different forms of parliaments. We need to help new members to get involved in our cooperation and enhance the influence of our cooperation among parliaments. Dear colleagues, we Chinese say that nothing, not even mountains and sea, can separate people with the same goals and vision. The NPC of China would like to work together with BRICS countries to uphold the principle of community with a shared future for mankind, strengthen our exchanges cooperation, and close our coordination to implement the BRICS summit outcome and to help BRICS cooperation enter new heights. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. That was a message from the People's Republic of China. We'll now move to the last statement, which will come from Honorable N. Mapisa Ngagula, Speaker of the National Assembly, Parliament of the Republic of South Africa.
Thank you, Program Director, Chairperson Masondo. Honorable presiding officers and representatives of BRICS parliaments, distinguished guests, fellow participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and once again, a warm welcome to all delegations and our distinguished guests to the 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum. As the Speaker of the National Assembly of the South African Parliament, it is a great honor for me to stand before you to make an input on this important debate on the theme, Harnessing Multilateralism of Parliamentary Diplomacy to Deepen BRICS and Africa Partnership for Accelerated Implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. I would like to take this moment to emphasize the importance and the significance of BRICS nations in the global arena. Together, we account for a significant share of the world's population, GDP, and trade. By leveraging our strengths and complementing each other's capabilities, BRICS nations can drive economic growth, foster technological innovation, and address common challenges such as poverty, inequality, and climate change. As chair of the 15th BRICS Summit this year, South Africa's President, His Excellency, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, succinctly reminded us what BRICS stands for, and I quote, "BRICS stands for solidarity and for progress. BRICS stand for inclusivity and a more just, equitable world order. BRICS stands for sustainable development," close quote. BRICS for me is a clear indication that the world has moved away from being a unipolar world to a multipolar one. The debate today is centered around the Africa Free Trade Agreement and its potential impact on BRICS nations, as well as the crucial role that our parliaments can play in maximizing its benefits. This agreement presents BRICS nations with a significant opportunity by granting them improved access to the African market, creating new avenues for trade and opening up possibilities for expanded investments. Through active support and commitment to implementing this agreement, BRICS countries can effectively contribute to forging a more balanced and inclusive global trade system. By collaborating closely with one another, BRICS nations can utilize their collective influence to promote fairer terms of trade, alleviate trade barriers, and address existing imbalances. This partnership offers an ideal platform to not only strengthen economic ties with Africa, but also stimulate and enhance Africa's economic transformation agenda. By playing an active role in this transformation, BRICS countries can stand to further drive their own economic growth and development. Honorable members, the potential of this agreement is boundless. Multilateralism and parliamentary diplomacy play a crucial role in global cooperation. The diplomatic exchanges of parliaments at platforms like these have the potential to advance the positive impact of multilateralism even more. It is through parliamentary diplomacy that our parliaments can brainstorm on how to best coordinate our legislative process, oversight strategies, and policy shaping efforts towards the attainment of common goals. Significantly, parliamentary diplomacy also enables us to engage with various other state and non-state actors on how best to execute our domestic parliamentary mandates from an informed international point of view. We learn from one another. I therefore look forward to hearing about our insights gained from the breakaway commissions, which we'll be holding tomorrow. Honorable members, we must not underestimate the power we hold as BRICS parliaments in contributing to the vision of the BRICS and Africa partnership. Let's engage robustly in today's debate and for the remainder of our conference to devise novel solutions and result-oriented strategies. Amongst other things which I feel strongly about, it's important that as we engage, we find ways of ensuring that we have constant engagements with our populace in order for us to have a deeper appreciation and understanding of the challenges they have. As South Africa, we're excited about the role parliamentary diplomacy within the realm of BRICS can play in creating an enabling environment for the successful implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. We must recognize the power of our bilateral and multilateral exchanges as well as our personal connections in strengthening the bonds between BRICS nations and our continent of Africa. To realize the full potential of this historic agreement, we must work together in a spirit of solidarity, cooperation, and mutual respect. To achieve this, actively engaging in sustained dialogue, sharing best practices, and identifying areas where parliamentary diplomacy can enhance the implementation process are crucial. Let us seize this opportunity to tap our collective expertise and diverse resources, contributing meaningfully to the success of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. The decisions we make today will shape the future of our nations, the BRICS partnership, and the African continent in particular. By leveraging multilateralism and parliamentary diplomacy, we can deepen the BRICS and Africa partnership and accelerate the implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement. I thank you for listening.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker Mapisa Ngagula. Excellencies and honorable delegates, let me take this opportunity to thank you for your excellent cooperation and exemplary conduct. We will now have an afternoon tea break for 30 minutes. But before we rise, honorable members, honorable delegates, the next session will be chaired by Honorable N.L. Mikhwe from the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, part of the delegation from the Republic of South Africa. So next session, in 30 minutes time, and let's please stretch our legs and relax a bit. Thank you very much.
好，好，谢谢。
Good afternoon. Can you request that all delegates should actually proceed to the venue? Honorable colleagues, can we start in 2 minutes' time? I hope all delegates are in by now.
The foyer is quite empty. So we should just proceed.
And the speaker.
Just wave as soon as you come.
Thank you very much, honorable members. We are now going to start with our session. And I hope we are mindful that time is now against us. Instead of taking 30 minutes for tea break, we took more than that time that was given to us. But let me take this opportunity to greet our Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of South Africa, the National Chair of Council of Provinces, the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Chair of NCOP, Honorable Speakers and leaders of delegations from various countries, Honorable Members of Parliament, Honorable Councillors led by the President of SALGA, the Chief Whip, and the Deputy Chief Whip for the National Assembly of South Africa and the NCOP, the provincial speakers and their deputies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. The next 2 days marks the greatest milestone of the journey that was initiated or conceptualized by some of the great leaders of our continent, of our parliaments, in ensuring that the BRICS Parliamentary Forum comes into being. Others are no longer in our parliaments, but others are still around. We're also lucky that our former Speaker of the National Assembly of South Africa is here and had an opportunity to address us in the morning so as to give a brief background of where the journey started. Thank you very much. I still call him Honorable Speaker. The two-day session will also assist in ensuring that the MOU is adopted and possibly signed. The Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa also covered some key aspects that will make the vision for the Free Africa Trade Area possible. The vision has been set by our leaders, and the emphasis that was put by the Honorable or His Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic, is on how the public servants should actually play a role in ensuring that this vision is actually realized. As parliaments, I think many other speakers spoke about our lawmaking and oversight role that are enshrined in our respective constitution. But what we need to check is how far can we go? What is it that we can do in terms of relevant legislation and policies to ensure that this vision is realized? We also need to check if the environments and also try and prepare those environments from which we are operating from, if they are conducive enough to enable this vision to happen. How do we ensure that the bureaucracy is able to help implement this noble vision? I will therefore open a debate on the 4 thematic areas for discussion. And the 4 thematic areas, as indicated earlier on, is climate change and legislative mobilization, BRICS energy transition, peace and security, BRICS and Africa partnership. Let me therefore call upon our first honorable member who's going to be debating from the Republic of South Africa, Honorable Mahuma Pilo, to open the debate. Thank you.
The chairperson of the session, the Speaker of the Gauteng Legislature, the office bearers of the BRICS parliaments, our erstwhile Speaker, Me Baleka, the chair of the NCOP, distinguished guests, and all of you honorable members. Humanity progresses because it is capable of rising to every challenge that it comes across. Since its creation in 2009, BRICS has grown in strength and influence globally. While starting off with a GDP of $16.9 trillion, it has now reportedly overtaken the G7 and now hovering at around $31.5 trillion. It is estimated that BRICS will account for 50% of global GDP by 2030. This represents a formidable opportunity for strengthened South-to-South cooperation. BRICS countries have not only shown remarkable determination and mutual support on global issues, but the alliance has come to be an epitome of the strength of pursuing common interests collectively. Pursued properly, BRICS multilateral efforts can reposition Africa to be amongst the world's fastest growing economies, thus simultaneously addressing pressing domestic issues of economic underdevelopment, unemployment, inequality, and leave millions of its people from abject poverty. The African Continental Free Trade Area an agreement has served as a regional tool. It presents further opportunities for amplified BRICS-Africa partnership and deepened, as I have said, the need for South-to-South economic cooperation. Development and upliftment of Africa and her people is central to South Africa's foreign policy and economic diplomacy, but it is also, it gives meaning to the policy position that the country's national interests are intrinsically linked to the Africa stability, unity, and prosperity. Thus, successful AFCFTA will result in an integrated continent which will only further strengthen South-to-South cooperation. Needless to say, the AFCFTA to work will require a number of cross-cutting interventions, such as energy, infrastructure, climate change, peace, and security. This will be the focus of our discussions, as you all know, for tomorrow. In Africa, regional integration has long been viewed as a catalyst for long-term prosperity. Regional integration in Africa can play a vital role in diversifying economies away from dependence on the export of just a few mineral products, in delivering food, energy security, and generating jobs for our people. The AFCFTA could play a key role as a facilitator to continental regional integration, especially through the delivery of regional public goods, such as building a well-integrated cross-border digital infrastructure, which will be key to tackling frontline challenges to successful transformation of the African continent. As part of its mandate, the AFCFTA seeks to eliminate trade barriers and boost inter-Africa trade. In particular, it is aimed at advancing trade in value-added production across services sectors of the African economy. Certainly, the AFCFTA will go a long way in contributing to the establishment and promotion of regional value chains in Africa and in enabling investment and job creation. Nonetheless, despite some of the AFCFTA challenges mentioned, through parliamentary diplomacy, a variety of challenges can be effectively addressed through BRICS cooperation. In fact, it goes without saying that BRICS intergovernmental and trade cooperation with the continent is at the center of the global partnership for South-to-South development. As demonstrated through trade relations, BRICS has nourished Africa's economic emergence and elevated the continent's contemporary global positioning. AFCFTA brings with it greater prospects of BRICS and Africa partnership and could play a more value-adding role in promoting, as we have said earlier, the concretization of the South-to-South relations. This is so because in the medium to long term, future focus and projections indicate that it will be BRICS companies that will usher in a new promising investor climate that will correspondingly bring with it additional business opportunities needed to undertake economic and infrastructure investment projects necessary to advance regional trade and integration of the African continent. We also want to make it all clear to all and sundry that the era of referring to Africa as the continent that is characterized by darkness, a continent that is at war with itself, a continent that doesn't work on its own skills to hone its own economies, That era is going to come to an end because of the work that Africa is going to be doing, working together with our friends within the BRICS countries. This doesn't mean that as Africa, as South Africa, will not continue at the same time to extend the hand of friendship, to work with other countries of the world for the advancement of humanity, so that humanity in the end can be able to prosper and live without war. There will be peace ultimately in the end. All of us can work together. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mahuma Pilu. I'm now going to call upon a representative from the Federative Republic of Brazil.
Honorable parliamentary colleagues from the BRICS member countries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to be here today at the 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum to discuss we can't hear Brazil. Sorry, delegates, we can't hear Brazil. The sound is not coming. It is an honor to be here. The AFCTA, by creating the world's largest free trade area in terms of participating countries, represent a crucial stage in the realization of Africa's vision of economic self-sustainability and integration, with the potential to significantly increase trade, diversify the economies of the countries involved, and catalyze industrial development. From my country's point of view, Brazil, the AFCFTA is an opportunity to explore a growing market and to collaborate in achieving the UN Sustainable Development Goals, such as the development of industry, innovation, infrastructure, the promotion of decent work, and the reduction of inequalities. Historically, Brazil shares cultural and historical ties with Africa, which facilitates closer ties between these regions. Our presence on the African continent refers to a closer relationship that was strengthened, especially in the first decade of the 21st century, marked by a strategy of diversifying trade partners and investing in South-South cooperation. In line with this perspective, Brazil has strengthened relations with several African nations with the aim of expanding investment, trade, and cooperation. As far as infrastructure is concerned, Brazilian companies have played a prominent role in projects in this sector on the continent. Initiatives include the construction of dams, roads, airports, and low-income housing in countries such as Angola, Mozambique, and Equatorial Guinea. In the commercial sphere, the Brazil-Africa relationship has grown significantly with exports of Brazilian products such as meat, soya, and machinery. African countries, in turn, supply Brazil with oil and minerals, constituting an important bilateral trade. In addition, trade agreements and investments in key sectors have been encouraged, promoting a mutually beneficial exchange. Despite this growing bilateral relationship, I believe there is room for improvement and intensification of these interactions. Brazil, with its accumulated experience in regional integration and sustainable development, has a unique opportunity to collaborate with African countries in this endeavor. With its remarkable progress in the areas of agriculture and industry over the last few decades, Brazil is in a strategic position to help modernize Africa's agricultural and industrial infrastructure. This collaboration can be materialized through technology transfer, a bridge that has the potential to promote sustainable development and accelerate economic growth on the African continent. In addition, technological solutions developed in Brazil are often adapted to the realities and challenges faced by African countries. For example, Brazil innovation is tropical agriculture. In tropical agriculture can be extremely relevant to Africa, given the similar climate and shared agricultural challenges. Africa has 65% of the world's available arable land and a strong vocation to be an agricultural powerhouse with the capacity to feed its people and offer solutions for global food security. By combining investment and technology, Brazil has developed modern tropical farming techniques that can be successfully replicated on this continent. With its vast territory, diverse climate, and wide range of natural resources, Brazil has been able to create an energy mix strongly based on renewable sources, which is a benchmark for many nations. The production of electricity from renewable sources in Brazil is 3 times higher than in the rest of the world. In the country, 85% of the electricity produced comes from renewable sources. In the world, this production is 27%. In addition, Brazil is the second largest producer of biofuels in the world, with ethanol produced from sugar cane being the flagship of this category. The expansion of wind and solar energy has also grown exponentially, making the country one of the leaders in generating energy from these sources in Latin America. It is true that Africa has made considerable progress in the energy transition, despite the challenges. But it is important to recognize that countries such as Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Kenya, and South Africa are examples of nations that are implementing ambitious renewable energy development policies. With an energy matrix that is still under development, many African nations can benefit from Brazil's experience, whether through technology transfer, training, or strategic cooperation. Our countries, the components of the BRICS have an important role to play in this process. We must support the successful implementation of the trade zone, facilitating business and investment between our regions. It is also important that we seek solid partnerships with African countries, promoting technology transfer, infrastructure development, and capacity building in key areas. Thank you very much.
Delegate, let me therefore call upon a rep from Parliament, Russian Federation.
distinguished colleagues,
各位代表，
the fact that BRICS is expanding means that we're about to create a space of unique opportunities. Our countries have already exceeded the group of 7 in terms of our GDP, and with the new participants, this gap will be even bigger between us and the G7. I believe that our joint efforts and the fact that we have been committed to shape a positive agenda and promote social and economic development and promote inclusivity, this is the foundation of our success. This approach is different from the so-called golden billion and its policy, which the golden billion believes to be a privileged player on the international stage, and they want to contain the geopolitical rivals by all means. This is why we're witnessing the erosion and degradation of international law and their substitution with some kind of rules developed without input or contribution from the majority. We're seeing fragmentation in global trade, we're witnessing sanctions and unprecedented pressure. A telling example here is the Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act, adopted in the United States. It was being discussed in the United States. Russia is mentioned in this act as a main obstacle for Africa's prosperity. How absurd! Who can believe this? Only those who do not understand or do not know anything about our past. And when the United States discussed this law, the Africans raised their voice against being treated this way, and they reminded the United States how they proceeded in their relations with the Soviet Union and now with Russia. The historical memory of the nations with whom we nurtured our friendship is still there. They are committed to their freedom and independence, and we value this choice. Russia has never been a colonizing power. Nowhere. We have always proceeded in our relations from the values of equality, and those countries trying to compete against us, including today, they have a different policy. Over the past 70 years, the United States took part or staged dozens of armed conflicts across the world, along with government coups, or were behind these coups or wars across the world. There's another example of neo-colonialist policies. These are sanctions, and the collective West makes active use and shamefully uses these sanctions to punish the unwanted governments. This has devastating consequences, especially for the weaker economies. This escalates the food crisis and undermines sustainable development and the implementation of the 2030 agenda. Neo-colonialism can also be seen in the monetary policy. Western countries will never be able to pay back their loans if the collective West sticks to this policy. The goals of this monetary policy is simply to ensure unilateral and secure unilateral advantages and promote its interests for the West. Against this backdrop, Russia is committed to building a genuinely just multipolar world order and prevent any politicization of various aspects of international cooperation while countering the modern form of neo-colonialism. Distinguished colleagues, Russia has found itself at the forefront of fighting neo-colonialism. The Western countries have been delivering increasingly lethal weapons to Ukraine despite international conventions. They have been seeking to cancel Russian culture and sport and nurture intolerance towards everything Russian and restrict the rights of our citizens. For the collective West, this is probably the last chance to recover their lost hegemony, their dictate, and the unipolar world order. Western politicians have been talking about inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia and shattering the Russian economy. However, our system has proved to be much more resilient than expected in terms of weathering international shocks, and international experts and think tanks recognized this. They said that the Russian economy is faring better than many European countries, and the new environment in Russia has benefited Russian businesses. They have turned to new market niches and have engaged in import substitution policies. We never try to resolve our issues at the expense of others while neglecting the interests of others. It is for this reason that in the mid-20th century, we lended our active support to African countries in the fight against racism and apartheid, and we helped them build their states to reinforce their security and to build their national economies. In our relations with Africa, we always stand for genuine sovereignty and unique development path. This is not about isolating anyone. This is about openness, cooperation between free states and nations that are equal in their rights. BRICS is becoming increasingly relevant in terms of promoting mutually beneficial cooperation across the global south in order to promote the interests of developing countries and markets. The 15th BRICS Summit in South Africa was a wonderful opportunity to hear Africa's voice and to contribute to the development of this region. Let me remind you that the President of Russia has highlighted specific measures to help our African partners, including delivering and shipping for free to the countries in Africa that needed thousands of tons of grain. And the parliamentarians, we as parliamentarians, must be proactive in implementing the resolutions contained in the Second Johannesburg Declaration. Russian legislators attach great importance to promoting cooperation with African countries in all its aspects. The Russia-Africa Summit was a major event. It laid a strategic foundation and provided a positive impetus for promoting our cooperation across the board, from politics to humanitarian, cultural, and educational affairs. This year, St. Petersburg, Russia's cultural capital, hosted the second Russia-Africa Summit, and we paid special attention to the African Continental Free Trade Zone. And previous speakers have already said that it will promote industrial development, technological exchanges, and attract more investment to Africa. It will also offer an additional impetus for promoting trade and will favorably affect our cooperation within BRICS. I suggest that we as parliamentarians consider ways to harness the potential of the African Free Trade Zone. Russia views as its objective working with the Secretariat of the African Continental Free Trade Zone, and we also want to align integration processes between the Eurasian Economic Union and the African Continental Free Trade Zone. In terms of the African agenda, the agreement on encouraging the use of national currencies in trade transactions between BRICS countries and their partners becomes increasingly relevant. One of these mechanisms for Russia could be to invest in local African manufacturing and to localize joint projects in Africa. In this regard, we need to step up our interregional and intermunicipal ties. The Federation Council, the upper chamber of the Russian Parliament, is a chamber of the region, and it is hard at work in promoting Africa among our people and the business community. We are ready to work with Africa's national parliaments, and we want to revive and reinvigorate our friendship groups, and cooperation groups. I hope that all these efforts will help us further promote Russia-Africa relations and will contribute to universal prosperity and progress. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. I now call upon the Parliament Republic of India.
Honorable Chairperson, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I thank the Chair for according me this great opportunity to share the ideas and perspectives of India on the theme of this conference. One of the key pillars of India-Africa partnership is trade and investment, and India is one of the largest trade and investment partners of Africa. India's bilateral trade with Africa has already reached $98 billion in 2022-23. India's cumulative investment in Africa stands at $75 billion from 1996 to 2022. India also offers a huge market for African commodities and products through the duty-free tariff preference scheme that extends duty-free access to 98.2% of India's total tariff lines. India has opened its market to African countries, and so far 33 LDC African nations are entitled to get benefit from this scheme. India has welcomed the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which has come into force from 1st January 2021. It has brought 50 countries together. This agreement comes with a promise to promote economic growth, prosperity, and inclusion for the people of Africa, as well as for the Africa's partner countries. We are hopeful that this coming together of African nations would be successful in creating a single African market for the free movement of goods and services, labor and capital, and thereby help increase intra-African trade. According to some studies, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement opens new vistas of opportunities, not just for the African countries to boost growth, reduce poverty, and broaden economic inclusion, but also for the world to invest and seize the opportunity of growth and opportunity of growth. While it is expected that the size of Africa's economy is likely to expand from $3.4 trillion to $29 trillion by 2050, it will boost Africa's income by $450 billion by 2035. Africa's exports could grow by $560 billion. African Continental Free Trade Agreement has the potential to lift 40 million people out of extreme poverty and to raise the incomes of 75 million others who live on less than $5.50 per day. These are just few figures that indicates the potential this land of Africa offers to the world. India thus hopes that the members of this agreement would expedite negotiations to accelerate its phase-wise implementation as provided in Kigali Declaration of 2018. Let me share with you all that India looks forward to creating a successful story of the African continent as BRICS bring the large emerging economies together. Let us forge an enduring partnership between the BRICS and Africa and seize the opportunity created by the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now call upon the Parliament People's Republic of China.
各位同事，各位代表，下午好。当前全球政治、经济等各领域围绕发挥多边主义对外交的作用，深钻国家和非洲伙伴关系。
To discuss surrounding
لنناقش
具有重要的意义。金砖国家要坚持真正的多边主义，多边主义是当前国际秩序的基石，是维护。
as the pillar of international order, and it's an effective way for us to safeguard peace and promote development. 70 years since its development, it's become an important force of EMDCs. BRICS countries have actually actively involved in the reform and construction of global governance system. It improved the representation and voice of developing countries and emerging markets. Is a positive, stable, and constructive force in international affairs. At just concluded BRICS 15th summit, President Xi Jinping pointed out that BRICS countries must practice true multilateralism and safeguard UN-centered international system, oppose any attempt to create small circles or blocks. As we speak, it is more important for us, the BRICS countries, to practice true multilateralism, safeguard fairness and justice, and safeguard the UN-centered international system and the international order underpinned by international law, oppose hegemonism and power politics, make international relations more democratic, and put in place a fairer and more equitable international order to jointly tackle global challenges. We need to fully leverage the role of parliamentary diplomacy. Cooperation among parliaments is an important part of BRICS cooperation, plays an important role for advancing our cooperation in finance and trade, politics, security, and people-to-people exchanges. We will sign an MOU during this year's PF meeting. We need to take this as an opportunity to strengthen the forum's institutional building, expand cooperation among special committees, friendship groups, and working agencies to provide legal underpinning for BRICS cooperation. We need to encourage parliamentarians and representatives to conduct various forms of friendly exchanges to improve our mutual understanding and recognition among the people, further cement public support for BRICS cooperation. BRICS parliaments should leverage their own roles and actively coordinate with your own governments to be involved in our cooperation in peace and security to promote humanity's peace and development. We need to do the follow-up work well. At the BRICS Johannesburg summit, we invited Saudi Arabia, Egypt, UAE, Argentina, Iran, Ethiopia to join BRICS. This is the largest highlight of this BRICS summit. It's also a historical moment for BRICS development. It meets the aspiration of developing countries and will cement the multipolar world momentum as well as bring more democracy to international relations. It will make the international political and economic governance system more equitable and fairer and improve the representation and voice of EMDCs in international affairs. The new members to BRICS will not only bring us with new opportunities for our cooperation, but will also put forward new requirements. Our new members come from different regions, different cultures, and they have different forms of parliaments. We need to help our new members to get involved in the BRICS parliamentary cooperation to improve the influence of our cooperation in this area. BRICS countries must carry forward the BRICS spirit, strengthen our strategic bond, pull more value consensus, and advance BRICS cooperation in a wider scope, more areas and greater steps. We need to practice true multilateralism, make BRICS cooperation open, and create BRICS cooperation to a positive, stable force for good. Now, there are still a lot of countries want to get involved in BRICS cooperation. We need to do this work well to let more countries to benefit from our BRICS cooperation. We need to expand our cooperation with Africa. China is a good friend, partner, and brother of African countries. 10 years ago, President Xi Jinping put forward the principle of sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith. And our cooperation with Africa has entered a fast lane. Over the past decade, China has provided a large amount of development assistance to Africa and helped build more than 6,000 kilometers of railway, over 600,000 kilometers of highway, and over 80 large power facilities on the continent. At the BRICS Plus dialogue, President Xi Jinping put forward that China will carry out more cooperation with African countries to support Africa in enhancing its capacity for development. Specific measures will be taken, such as providing satellite mapping data products, implementing smart customs cooperation partnership, and launching with UNESCO a GDI for Africa's future action plan to support sustainable development in Africa. China will implement relevant measures to further carry forward our friendship with Africa, strengthen solidarity and cooperation. To advance our modernization cause, we need to support the implementation of the African Free Trade Agreement. The implementation of AFCFTA is a milestone of Africa's economic integration, shows African countries' determination to seek growth through solidarity, and it will inject strong impetus for safeguarding multilateralism and promoting an open world economy. The AFCFTA has also brought with important opportunities for the development of China-Africa economic relations. China has been Africa's largest trading partners for 13 years in a row. We have supported Africa's integration as well as their efforts to seek strength through unity and the construction of AFCFTA. We will enhance the strategy between Belt and Road Initiative and GDI with the construction of AFCFTA to scale new heights for our economic and trade cooperation. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We're now going to call upon the House of Representatives of Egypt.
عربي يلا. Ladies and gentlemen, the head of the National Assembly of Republic of South Africa, Mr. the National Assembly head, and all the distinguished guests and delegation and the head of the delegation, ladies and gentlemen who attend here, and it's pleasure for me to start and to show my honor, and when we have on that a very special occasion, on that gathering of BRICS, and we welcome that invitation to join the BRICS. And really we're waiting for the good and positive result of that meeting. And we have a firm relationship with each other. And I give my thanking to our friends on the Republic of South Africa for that honorable invitation to me, and that we really value that invitation, and we put it on consideration between, and we have honorable relation. I believe that you agree with me that when that atmosphere, international atmosphere now, and we have the speedy changing, which is reflecting in our development countries, especially our Africa continent. And really we need that partnership, international partnership, so that what it suits our status in this world. And we need to cooperate with a real cooperation for the world economy, especially all that matters which challenging us, that we have that weather changing, and all the international matter and affairs. And we are proud to be partner of the African continent, which is very important for all that relationship with the whole world. And based on the shared value of our culture, and we also support our business and investment, especially on that in that huge platform of investment. Besides our ability of support, financial supporting, which is a low cost, and which it goes all this a good choice to fulfill our need of our beloved continent. And for our continent, and our continent was trying best to review how to cooperate on investment and economy, which we can have the change, a big change of the African economy, and we have to implement it, to make it in reality in the free market way, with trade market, and we have to assess the cooperation financial through the economy of the continent, and we have to share the cooperation globally, and to create a new jobs, and so that we can give some thought of development of the life of the African citizen. And that what we need to have our priority to speed up to achieve all our goals. And BRICS, we need a lot of investment, so that to do the help infrastructure, so that we develop our life, which is help that all the African trade zone, our colleagues, friends, as long Egyptian government state believe that to assess the African, so we have to achieve the cooperation, and from this, so that we hope to assess and implement all the aspects of cooperation, and we are keen to speed to how to achieve that the agreement of the free trade. And we are from the first countries who encouraged to agree to sign on that agreement, and that the Egyptian states is keen to assess and to join and all the needs of that agreement. And for the diplomatic aspects, the Egyptian has experience for the construction and in Africa, and we do cooperate, and so that we can create a stability in the continent. And we do have and we have the development agenda. So the Egyptian implement a vision, which is that when we do a new state, so what we are keen to do the infrastructure, so that we can achieve what the need of all the aspects of the economy and the development, and which is renew all the road system, which is the veins of all the body of the trade, and also the ports and harbors of Egyptian, and also the transportation which link all Egypt with all over the world. Besides all of that, we have that is also the legislation which the Egyptian legislator to create a new platform and new laws to ease the investment through the development of the infrastructure. And also we do that also the road of the Cairo to the Mediterranean Sea, so that we can see and to implement the free trade on the continent. And from that, Egypt is ready to have a real partnership with African continent, so that Egypt can put all a capacity to ease and to create the successful partnership. finally, so we take on our duty to implement the need of our nations and our citizens, and we have to use all our capacity on parliament level, on diplomacy level to fulfill the real need of the continent, so that we can cooperate with all the parts of Africa, so that we can implement that really at a free trade agreement, so that we can assist the economy of Africa, which we are successful. So I call from this stage so that we can do some dialogue, so that with our partner, so in that BRICS, so that we can have a free dialogue. Finally, we thank all of you, so that you listen attentively.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I now call upon
شكرا. سندعو الآن ندعو المتحدث بالبرلمان الإيراني.
In the name of Almighty Allah, colleagues, the world has entered a new era, and the international system is moving towards multipolarization and redistribution of power in favor of non-aligned and independent countries of the global south. In this period of transition, when global peace and security are threatened by challenges such as hegemony, expansionism, terrorism, and extremism, we believe that the path to peace and development is the path of multilateral cooperation and coordination of the key countries of the global south in the global arena. Accordingly, the fixed principle of the foreign policy of the Islamic Republic has always been based on supporting and promoting multilateralism and active participation in the international organizations based on justice and mutual respect and necessity of playing a constructive role and collective participation in facing international and regional challenges. The active participation of the Islamic Republic of Iran in international multilateral networks is due to the importance that the government of the Islamic Republic attaches to multilateralism in the international arena. Therefore, the membership of the Islamic Republic of Iran in BRICS is considered another important achievement in this field and can be another solid step in advancing and strengthening multilateralism for the Islamic Republic of Iran. In this regard, forming and strengthening infrastructure links between different countries is important and necessary. The promotion of the role of BRICS in the global arena can act as a factor in promoting partnership in the world. Considering its political and economic capacities, BRICS can be a factor to strengthen the role of the countries of the global south in the international arena. BRICS cannot strengthen the existing methods to achieve and expand peace and security based on diplomacy and all-around interaction based on justice and spirituality in the world arena. One of the challenges that the domination system uses to intimidate independent countries is economic sanctions. Sanctions are a challenge that has become the most important tool of intimidation by some hegemonic countries to impose their will on their countries. Sanction, which is a tool for intimidation and economic terrorism, is considered one of the key obstacles to advancing the convergence of the countries of the global south. BRICS can fight this factor through the design of collective coping structures and mechanisms. Therefore, we believe that consensus is important and necessary in the design of collective countermeasures against unilateral sanctions in the form of this organization. It is also necessary for the BRICS member countries to pay attention to the necessity of cooperation in environmental issues, in issues such as technology development, post-corona cooperation, cybersecurity, public diplomacy, and strong communication with the people, and organized dealing with the organized crimes, drugs and terrorism, and cooperation, and pay attention to the interacting with each other in these areas. Iran, as a crossroad of West-East and North-South corridors, can play a role in strengthening the common interests of developing countries and strengthening peace in this region. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Let me call a representative from the Federal National Council of the United Arab Emirates.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معالي NL مكوي رئيس برلمان مقاطعة جوانتينغ، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة.
Our respected attendant, firstly, I want to express my gratitude of the Parliament of South Africa for that a well done preparation. For that is that the 9th Parliamentary Forum on the BRICS, which is really is a very important and I emphasize what it's indicate. Our head of the parliament, the Speaker of the Parliament earlier for the United Arab Emirates about the importance of our meeting. So we as a parliamentary forum, we have to do our best to remove any obstacle between ourselves so that we can ease the way of investment, and we have to encourage and push our cooperation. Our sisters and brothers, our national parliament can play a very important role so that we can create many ways to cooperate through the BRICS in the African continent, which is also an agreement of the free trade through so many instruments. So by legislation of the new laws and some law and supervising on all that implementation and the partnership of the international cooperation. For the legislation level, and it's very important to implement some decision and some law which is assess the cooperation between the parliaments of the African and also the group of BRICS. That through that you issue some law and rules, which is rules can ease the goods between the countries, and also parliament can also remove many trade obstacle, and ease the trade between the state members, which is help the growth of development economy and create a new opportunity on our continent. On top of that, so that the parliament of BRICS and the other African parliament so it can play a real role, which is cooperate on investment through establish a new mechanism of law so that you can attract investment with a foreign investment to Africa, and also cooperate to implement a new legislation which can encourage the companies and many companies for infrastructure and the others to can cooperate and work in Africa. And we have to mention and then exchange trade between Emirates and the group of BRICS, and it's exceed $135 billion in 2022. And also Emirates, the United Arab Emirates, and looking forward to duplicate that the state result, which is also, it comes now, $489 billion, and we're looking to duplicate also the 3/3 or 3 doubles of that amount by the 2050s. And for the observing, and our parliament also observing and giving a lot of so that you encourage to do the cooperation between the BRICS groups and the African countries, especially on the investment of the infrastructure and also in many fields. Lastly, so you can create cooperation and complete cooperation between the BRICS and Africa through a diplomatic mechanism and some rules, also with sharing the meeting, international meeting, and also to exchange information and the cooperation for investment and information. And in the same, we have to discuss the challenges which it face, that completion of the economy, and we have to create the solution of all the obstacles. And we have to build the trust between the two parties. And in the same coin, we have to confirm the main role of the Parliament of the BRICS, which is building the capacity and assist the education and training of the country, which will assist, improve the labor power and also the working sector. And finally, I wish for all our activities now the success, and thank you and peace be upon all of you.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I'm now going to call upon the National Assembly of Namibia.
Thank you so much.
Muito obrigado.
Director of Ceremonies, the Speaker of the National Assembly of South Africa,
O orador da
Nakula, Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the Honorable Amos Masondo, various speakers of parliament from BRICS member countries and invited countries that are here, former Speaker of the National Assembly and former Deputy President of South Africa, my dear sister Baleka Mbete, members of parliament here present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. As the Speaker of the National Assembly of the Republic of Namibia, let me indicate that it is a privilege for me to stand before you today and to express my gratitude to the National Assembly of the Republic of South Africa, our host, for organizing the 9th BRICS Parliamentary Forum and assuming the chair of BRICS. We are extremely proud to see her doing this as a neighbor, as a partner in parliamentary work. I would like to indicate our appreciation and warmest congratulations to Honorable Speaker. Indeed, the critical discussion within our parliamentary institutions relating to the significance of BRICS to the African continent in particular, amongst other member countries, is within the discourse of parliamentary diplomacy and cooperation. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, this forum presents an opportunity for us as parliaments in the developing world to connect with each other and to establish linkages. Linkages that are important in terms of the work we do. Such linkages will hopefully mutually benefit our quest to present, enact, and oversee financial and economic legislation that are responsive to the needs and aspirations of our people, cognizant to the ongoing expansion of the bloc. It is important that collaboration bears fruitful results that will economically uplift many countries with staggering levels of poverty and underdevelopment. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this forum, harnessing multilateralism and parliamentary implementation of the Africa Free Trade Agreement, is well suited given the ever-growing needs for Africa to liberate itself economically. This is something that is very close to our hearts, and we very much appreciate for us to have the opportunity to address this in a manner that is contribute to the well-being of our people. With BRICS currently accounting for more than 40% of the world population and over 25% of the global GDP, the expansion of the bloc would see immeasurable economic opportunities. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is one of the best tools we have to increase economic activities and achieve sustainable development. Honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, the Namibian head of state, His Excellency, President Hage G. Geingob, recently attended the BRICS summit for the first time and participated in the BRICS-Africa outreach and BRICS Plus dialogues meant to strengthen economic ties with the bloc members. His attendance recognizes the importance that Namibia attaches to the joining of the bloc and the immense benefit associated with such a decision. Allow me to quote a line from his remarks that resonates with the importance of this gathering, and I quote, "In Namibia, we too hold dear these principles as a condition to build a shared, peaceful, prosperous global community in which all countries, big and small, interact as sovereigns on equal footing without any country being left out or subjected to forceful imposition of particular value systems. End of the quote. I'm happy to reveal that as of 2022, Namibia's trade volume and current BRICS countries has significantly increased. Therefore, Namibia already benefits immensely from BRICS countries, and joining the bloc would amplify and even provide more growth and expansion. Ladies and gentlemen, let me once again extend my appreciation for the opportunity given to the Parliament of Namibia to be a participant at this prestigious gathering, an important event indeed. It is my wish that partnerships of this magnitude translate into tangible outcomes and open new avenues for growth and expansion. I wish everyone fruitful deliberations and a successful outcome of this important event, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I now wish to call upon Honorable Masondo from the Republic of South Africa to reply on the debate.
Greetings and afternoon. Program Director, Your Excellencies, the presiding officers of the BRICS Parliaments and Assemblies, Your Excellencies, the presiding officers of BRICS and related countries, Your Excellencies, the presiding officers of African regional parliaments, honorable members of BRICS Parliament and Assemblies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Program Director, we have successfully concluded our discussion on the theme Harnessing Inclusive Multilateralism and Parliamentary Diplomacy to Deepen BRICS and Africa Partnership for Accelerated Implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The discussions were characterized by a fruitful exchange of perspectives and expertise. They have enhanced our collective understanding and reinforced our commitment to our common objectives. This gathering, Program Director, serves as a remarkable example of the strength of collaborative dialogue, where we have explored innovative approaches and promoted inclusive multilateralism guided by the BRICS spirit of mutual respect and understanding, equality, solidarity, openness, inclusiveness, and consensus. I wish to express my deepest gratitude to each of the participants for their invaluable contributions. Your thought-provoking ideas and your unwavering dedication will no doubt advance the BRICS and Africa partnerships. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement represents a historic opportunity for our continent. It holds the potential to unlock economic growth, enhance living standards, and foster sustainable development. For South Africa, it presents an unparalleled chance to expand market access for our entrepreneurs and enterprises. With over 1.3 billion consumers across Africa, our small and medium businesses stand to benefit from a gateway to new markets, enabling them to seize fresh opportunities, attract investments, and bolster revenue streams. This agreement has a potential to catalyze a surge in trade, thus empowering our local businesses to thrive and contribute to overall economic prosperity. However, Program Director, realizing the full potential of this agreement necessitates a unified effort and a collaborative approach. Strong partnerships across borders are key to fully capitalizing on the opportunities presented by this agreement. Therefore, we must leverage the economic strength, technological advancements, and expertise of the BRICS nations to drive the success of the agreement and transform the African continent. One critical way in which BRICS nations can contribute is by sharing the experiences in promoting trade and investments. Their valuable insights and guidance can help African countries to effectively work towards the objectives of the agreement. By fostering business partnerships and creating investment opportunities, the BRICS nations can facilitate increased trade flows, joint ventures, and knowledge exchanges between our economies. Our collaboration can help diversify and expand African exports, promoting balanced and mutually beneficial trade relations. Furthermore, the BRICS nation can provide vital technical assistance, capacity building programs, and financial resources to support African nations in the implementation of the agreement. The expertise of the BRICS countries in areas such as trade facilitation, customs procedures, regulatory frameworks, and skills development can significantly contribute to the success of this historic agreement. Through partnerships in these domains, we can strengthen African institutions and create an environment conducive to increased trade and sustainable economic growth. Additionally, by investing in African infrastructure projects such as transportation, energy, and digital connectivity, BRICS countries can contribute to enhancing of regional and indeed continental connectivity. This infrastructure development will help facilitate the movement of goods, services, and peoples across borders, enabling the smooth implementation of the agreement. Moreover, it will help facilitate trade, reduce transportation costs, and improve coordination efficiency. We can draw important lessons from China's Belt and Road Initiative, which has already led to the construction of ports, railways, and power plants in various African nations, fostering trade and economic development. Program Director, equipping our African parliamentarians with the necessary tools, knowledge, and expertise is equally crucial for effective implementation. The establishment of robust knowledge exchange programs between BRICS and African legislators, experts, and institutions could assist in this regard by organizing seminars and fostering deeper understanding of one another's policy frameworks and challenges. We can collectively navigate the complexities of regional integration, strengthen ties, and create an environment of shared learning. In conclusion, the support and collaboration of BRICS countries are vital to the unlocking of the full potential of the agreement and to driving economic growth and development across the African continent. Together as BRICS nations and African partners can embrace partnerships and diplomacy to seize the opportunities before us and to create a prosperous and inclusive trading environment. The South African Parliament reaffirms its commitment to this historic journey. We call on BRICS nations and African partners to strengthen our bonds and to collaborate in unlocking economic opportunities, improving lives, and turning the vision of the African continental free trade area into reality. I thank you.
A big round of applause for all our speakers. If you don't mind, you can say Malibonge to all of them. Honorable leaders, the African continent is central in South Africa's foreign policy, and this is in line with our commitment to advancing the African Agenda 2063 and the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which serve as a key points of departure in South Africa's engagement with the international community. The African agenda is premised on the belief that no country in Africa could truly prosper in isolation from the rest of the continent. South Africa's future growth and development is thus inextricably linked to the development of the continent as a whole. Multilateral relations within and across the African regional economic communities and within BRICS, anchored in principles of equity, mutual benefit, and peaceful cooperation, as central to achieving our common goals of economic development, peace and security, the development of our nations, and the socio-economic emancipation of our people. These are the necessary conditions for sustainable socio-economic development and a stable political environment. BRICS has fast become an important and strategic partner in South Africa's relations with the global community. Thus goes beyond economics, trade and investment. South Africa's chairing of the BRICS bloc is a unique opportunity for South Africa to advance its continental and global priorities in an inclusive and collaborative manner within BRICS. This is no doubt that the expanded BRICS will play a central role in reshaping our global and regional geopolitical and geo-economic architecture. This presents an opportunity to create a fairer and more just global community. The role of BRICS parliaments as representatives of the peoples of BRICS countries is central to this, and this is a matter that we commit to pursue with determination and seriousness. Unlocking the many opportunities to African continental free trade area through strengthened partnership between BRICS parliaments and African parliaments to realize mutually beneficial opportunities towards increased trade, investment, and infrastructure development under the African continental free trade area will be the subject of focus in the foreseeable future. I would love to commend all participants in the debate for their valuable insights and contribution. But also thank you very much for having spared me a lot of time, because we managed to actually conclude within a specified time. With these few words, I therefore declare the session closed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This segment, you can give yourselves a well-deserved round of applause. My small task again is to ask if there's any delegate who might have misplaced keys. I still have them. And all I need is an announcement that says the key is, and then I'll gladly hand over. So should you know anyone who has it, who needs a key, please indicate. Allow me, Your Excellencies, to also announce proceedings for this evening. At the pleasure of the host of this BRICS Summit, the Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, has arranged a dinner that will officially take place at a venue that is just downstairs. All the liaison officers are aware of the venue. It's not a complicated venue. It's in the hotel, and they will be guided to proceed to the gala dinner. It is scheduled to start at 18:30 this evening. We respectfully encourage all of you to attend so that you don't miss the offerings of Parliament of the Republic of South Africa. So you're all encouraged to attend that in the evening. We will also request that we start on time tomorrow morning, 8:30 tomorrow morning. So the session is officially adjourned. Thank you very much.